Okay, Trenny and C here with Chris Reed. We're at Shelter Point Distillery, and Chris, you're gonna do a little tour for us, a little distillation tour, right?
Absolutely. Now, one of the nice things about Shelter Point is that we have all of our equipment that we use for making spirit all in the one location. So it's nice and simple to talk you through. I'm going to start you off with our mash tun here. This is the process that we use to soak the grain in hot water. We'll grind that malted barley up into a rough flour known as a grist. And then we'll add a ton of it at a time into this mash tun. It's like a giant saucepan, and we add in 6,000 litres of hot water. That hot water activates the enzymes in the malted barley, so it can convert all of the carbohydrates in that barley into sugars. That process takes about kind of 5 or 6 hours. In this mash tun, we've got blades which cut through and stir everything up to keep everything mixing around. And that's just allowing the hot water to get into all elements of that barley. At the end of that process, we've got about 5,000 litres of a warm, sweet liquid. All those sugars have dissolved into that liquid, and we'll pump that into our fermenters. The 1,000 litres of liquid that's been left has been absorbed by the grain, and we'll pump that out the back into a waiting truck, and that goes off to a local dairy farm to become cattle feed. Now I'm going to walk across to our fermenters. We're going to pump it under the platform into our fermentation tank.
Sure.
So if you want to follow me along
Let's
this
go.
way. This is fermenter 1, and this fermentation has been going on for just over 24 hours. And you can see in there you've got a lot of bubbles happening with the yeast.
Yeah.
So the warm sweet liquid has been pumped into here, and we've added yeast into it. And this is the process which is just like making beer or making wine. The yeast is consuming the sugars inside the liquid and it's turning it into alcohol. What's also coming off is carbon dioxide, which is a byproduct of that process. Now, if you were to take a deep breath from there, you'd probably feel a little bit lightheaded, maybe even a little sick, because carbon dioxide is not good for you.
Do it, Trenny.
But you can get that kind of yeasty sensation in the air, and that's the yeast working away. Now, we do a 7-day fermentation here. That's a lot longer than many distilleries do, and that extra time gives a lot of time for the yeast to really work, consume all of those sugars, and create a lot of extra flavor as well. So we've got some different compounds being produced as the yeast is getting a bit stressed towards the end of that fermentation process. All those compounds mean extra flavors that go into our spirit. At the end of this process, we've got what's called a distiller's beer. It's about 7% alcohol. And as I like to say, you can drink it, you will get drunk, you just won't have a nice time doing it. It's a warm, flat, sour beer. If that's your thing. We've got
Sour beer,
here,
yeah.
Sounds like
But for most people, they prefer the end product. So we're going to move from here now towards our wash still, because we'll pump the beer from here into our wash still, one of our nice big copper full-size stills. So we're going to walk around to the other side.
Yes.
Once Trenny's finished running this
Yeah. Smack that.
And we're going to stick the flashlight in there too, so you can have a little look inside there. So the wash still is basically a giant kettle. As you can see on the inside here, it's 100% copper. This is about 1/4 inch thick copper all the way through. And what we're doing in here is we're warming the liquid up, we're heating it up again. Those rings that you could see on the inside, they are rings that are filled with steam. We've got our boiler in the back, it's going to fill those rings with steam, it's going to bring the temperature of the liquid back up. And we're going to work on the fact that while water boils at 100 degrees C, alcohol boils at 78 degrees C. So as we're coming close to that temperature, the alcohol is actually boiling off within the liquid, and it's going up the chimney. You can see the chimney runs up to the top, goes across that line arm and down, and we've got a higher concentration of alcohol going across the line arm. Now we do water, and so what's going to come off here, off the spout that you can just see through the window there, that's going to be the wash coming off there. That's going to be about 25% alcohol. So we've made a nice big step up from 7% to 25%, but that's not enough to be whiskey. Whiskey legally has to be 40% alcohol, so we need to do it again, and this time we use our spirit still, which is the one that's just on the side here. Now if you look inside, it's very similar in terms of the process. We've got those rings on the inside which we fill with steam, but you will notice that this still is smaller. It's only a 4,000 litre still rather than 5, and that's because we've got less liquid. We've left some liquid behind in the wash still. But apart from that, the process is pretty similar. We're going to heat everything up, we're going to boil up the alcohol, within that it's going to go up the chimney and across the line arm. But what's different about the process now is we're going to be starting to separate the liquid that comes off. So you can see in the spirit safe here, we've got 2 different pots for the liquid to flow into. The very first liquids to come off are the heads. They're the really volatile alcohols Got a lot of flavors, a little bit like nail polish remover, kind of acetone flavors. They also contain methanol, not good, poisonous for people.
Meth is bad.
That's a lesson you'll need to take once.
Yeah.
But we really don't want to put that into the alcohol, so we put that into the heads tank, which is a little bit off to the side. However, our distiller is constantly nosing what's coming off the still. He's nosing it to tell by the smell, because there is a notable change in the smell. And you get what comes after the heads is the hearts, and the hearts is the good stuff. That's what I want to put into the barrel. We've got a little sample of it here for you. As you can see, the hearts is completely clear. Looks like a gin or a vodka. All of the colour that goes into Shelter Point whiskies is coming from the barrel. Everything else is just what's there. So we have the hearts there. That is a really nice, clean, creamy malty liquid that is the new make. That's around about 70% alcohol. So we've jumped up 7% to 25%, now to 70%. And we're going to get a good amount of alcohol off there. And then it's going to start to transfer into the tails. And the tails are a little bit more organic, a little bit more kind of full of flavour, which if you age it in the barrel for long enough, you can get some nice flavours out of it. But at Shelter Point, we're a young distiller, we haven't got time for a long aging process. So we tend to do a nice clean cut. We'll cut it off before we get into the tails. We'll put the tails into the same tank.
Can you redistill the tails?
You can redistill that. We combine the two. It's known as the faints. We'll redistill that, and you'll be able to extract a little bit more of that kind of good hearts alcohol out of it. But at the end of the process, we'll take our hearts, we'll put them into a large tank, and then we'll pump that into our barrels. And it's the time in the barrels that really turns that spirit into whiskey. And that time in the barrel is a totally different process. We can talk about that at a different time. In terms of distillation, then that's a wrap.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chris.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.